Hello, y'all. Apropos of nothing in particular, and yet apropos of everything, uh, generally, I wanted to talk about this video, which has sort of been quietly expunged from YouTube. This this is a video that used to be available, uh, and was so liked and commented on so much, and got so much uh, positive feedback from so many people saying yes, amen, preach it, tell it like it is, Dave. Um, and you can barely find it now. You can just barely find it. And on a whim this morning, because I woke up early and uh, I ran across somebody being dismissive of somebody else on the internet, which happens all the time. People just get. It doesn't just happen on the internet, but it's like the uh, the unfortunate substance of so much of what passes for discourse, um, on social media. Uh, and that is calling someone crazy, or generally being dismissive. But it seems like, uh, as Dave will explain here in a minute, uh, calling someone crazy is it's like a shortcut to having to say anything in response to points that they are making. We've seen that over and over and over again, and whatever might be said about somebody's mental health, it's really beside the point. If you're arguing the point, but if you want to make it about somebody's mental health, if you want to make it ad hominem, which is of course one of the it is the most egregious logical fallacy that there is, then you call them crazy. Now, Chappelle talks about this here, and he makes reference to something that I didn't I wasn't really aware of, but I looked it up and found out about it. And so let's hear first what Dave has to say here.
He played a role in your life, I believe. How do you feel about him as a person, as an artist?
Martin Lawrence is the guy that showed everybody you can make it from D.C. to Hollywood. And I had a personal stake in his success. Every time he did something, it made me feel inspired and really good. And he was always real nice to me. He'd sit me down, "What's going on with you, baby boy? What? We'd talk about comedy, whatever." And, when we did Blue Streak, we were promoting it, and Martin had a stroke. He almost died. And then after that, I saw him. I was like, "Oh, my God, Martin, are you okay?" And he said, "I got the best sleep I ever got in my life." That's how tough he is. So let me ask you this. What is happening in Hollywood that a guy that tough will be on the street waving a gun, screaming, "They are trying to kill me"? Yeah. What's going on? Why is Dave Chappelle going to Africa? Why does Mariah Carey make a $100 million deal and take clothes off on TRL? A weak person cannot get to sit here and talk to you. Ain't no weak people talking to you. So what is happening in Hollywood? Nobody knows. The worst thing to call somebody is crazy, is dismissive. I don't understand this person, so they're crazy. That's bullshit. These people are not crazy. They're strong people. Maybe the environment is a little sick.
Listen to that response. I mean, just listen to how that resonates with people. And, it wasn't just the studio audience who reacted that way. People everywhere were like, "Wow, that's deep, man." But they were noting the truth of what he has to say here. Now, it doesn't matter so much if you know any of the people that he's referring to. I mean, the meat of what's important here is he talks about what's going on in Hollywood, and he makes reference to Martin Lawrence, who is an actor and a comedian, a friend of his, who is his mentor, who had this incident where he seemed to lose his mind, and Chappelle goes right up to the edge of saying, "What's going on in Hollywood?" No, but he says no one knows, and he leaves it at that. And of course, Chappelle, he had his show on Comedy Central that was extremely successful, and then after the second season, he just abruptly stopped. He quit and flew to Africa. That's what he was making reference to there. Why is Dave Chappelle going to Africa? Why is Mariah Carey taking her clothes off, getting $100 million and taking her clothes off on TRL? He's saying he's making the observation that people who become rich and famous, and this is something that needs to be said because so often, the discourse is about how, oh, celebrities, I hate celebrities, and well, celebrities are so full of it. And, I understand having that kind of reaction. I've had that reaction myself many times, but what Dave is saying here is absolutely true. What Chappelle is saying, I shouldn't refer, that's kind of a parasocial thing to call him by his first name. That's another thing that everybody does, though. So anyway, so what Dave Chappelle says here is absolutely true. That, or I would imagine that it is, that you have the guts and the gumption to do what it takes to quote unquote make it. Whatever else could be said about you, you're definitely not weak. But then he goes on to say, this environment, this culture, is causing these strong people to do things that seem crazy. And then he says again this quote, which I love: "The worst thing to call somebody is crazy. It's dismissive." It's a pet peeve of mine. Anytime I see dismissiveness, anytime I see something just dismissed out of hand, it bugs me for some reason. It's one of those things for me. Even if it's something I don't agree with, if somebody just dismisses it out of hand, it's like, wait a minute, how do you know? How do you know that you're wrong? How do you know that he's wrong and that you're right? And most of the time, there's no substance there at all. It's absolutely substance free. It's just well, he's stupid or he's crazy or something like that. Pizzagate is crazy. It's just crazy. It's an alt-right fever dream. Yeah, right. Okay. So I decided to look up because I didn't know. I mean, I remember who Martin Lawrence was back in the day. I think it's been a while since he's been in anything, and maybe there's a story there. I don't know. But this is from even longer ago. And this is I looked up Martin Lawrence. They're trying to kill me. This is just sort of something that Chappelle says in this interview in a very offhand kind of way. Why is Martin Lawrence, who's a strong, tough individual, what makes him break like this? So here's the story. From May 8th, 1996, comedian Martin Lawrence runs into street, yells at cars. Kind of a funny headline. But in a way, well, anyway, let me just read it. With a pistol in his pocket, comedian Martin Lawrence ran into traffic on busy Ventura Boulevard in Sherman Oaks Tuesday, cursing and screaming at oncoming cars, till he was taken away by police and hospitalized. witnesses said. Lawrence, go away. Lawrence, star of the movie sitcom Martin, blah, 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 was found in the middle of Ventura Boulevard at Tyrone Avenue, that's funny, at 12:30 p.m. Blah, blah, blah. He was taken to the hospital and later released to his personal physician. Okay, so a witness who declined to be identified, but who said he was an acquaintance of Lawrence. That's interesting. Why wouldn't he want to be identified? Said the actor was cursing, waving his hands, and yelling, "Fight the establishment." He said Lawrence ran out of the street where police arrived and tried to fight them off when they attempted to restrain him. Lawrence had a handgun in his pants pocket, and detectives will ask the city to charge him with misdemeanor possession of a concealed firearm. All right, so then they say, why did this happen? Well, he was suffering from a case of exhaustion and dehydration. I don't know. I've been exhausted. I've been dehydrated. I've never done that. Never done what Lawrence was reported to do here. Okay, so, and and he may have had a seizure because he failed to take a prescribed medication. So a few years later, just 3 years after this incident, Martin Lawrence appears in this movie called Blue Streak, which I have not seen. But just look at this poster. Look at the poster. Martin Lawrence runs into traffic, yells at cars. Here he is. He's not running, but he's in the. It looks like, it makes it look like he's in the middle of the road, middle of a freeway. Acting crazy. Holding up his badge, I guess because he's playing a cop. He's a cop. What does that say? He's a cop. That's not believe that. No, there must be. Sorry. There must be something that I'm not seeing there. Anyway. Do you see what I'm saying here? Do you see? Can you connect the dots about the weirdness of all of this? And then a few years after this, Martin Lawrence's friend, Dave Chappelle, goes on inside the actor's studio and does this big reveal where he just about almost says, he almost spills the beans. He almost says what's going on in Hollywood. Instead, he just asks the question, very much like the Q posts, they would just ask questions. And I'm not a Q person, but anyway, that's what that reminds me of. What's going on in Hollywood. He can't. You get the feeling. I get the feeling that Dave knows what's going on in Hollywood, but can't say it directly. So instead, he calls he says it's dismissive to call people crazy, then makes a reference to Martin Lawrence running out in the middle of traffic, saying they're coming to kill me, fight the establishment. Chappelle said he was waving a gun. According to the news story, the gun was just in his pocket. But in any case, he's behaving in this way that seems crazy. And then a few years later, this is Martin Lawrence, almost being lampooned for doing what he did. It's like a humiliation ritual. Much like the humiliation ritual that Chappelle has also drawn attention to about black comedians, which is right on the money with. He's talked before about how every black comedian has to go out and drag, and he talked about Dave Chappelle talked about how they tried to get him to do that in the movie. And he said, no way, I'm not comfortable with this. And he refused to do it. But when you think about it, just about every black comedian has, or even just a black actor, and plenty of white actors too. But just about every black comedian and a few black actors, non-comedians, have also had to do this humiliation ritual sort of thing where they dress up in drag. I mean, I remember they did it with Wesley Snipes, and I think Jamie Foxx as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, but this isn't ultimately about race. This is about a system that is deeply evil and sick. And that's what Chappelle says here. He says, you know, what is it that's making these people who are strong people, tough people, what's making them behave in ways that seem crazy? He says, you know, maybe there's something about the culture that's a little sick. He doesn't say what it is. He doesn't say what it is, but he raises that question or he asks the question and then poses this possibility. And you see how it resonates with people. You can see from their reaction to this. When something hits you in the gut, you know it. It's undeniable. And that's why he looks so smug here as he's taking a drag off of his cigarette. He knows he's just nailed it. But he deserves to feel that way because he said what needed to be said. Now, I looked up, when I looked up this thing about Martin Lawrence Blue Streak, I saw people say, oh, well, he was just high. He was high. That was why he did it. He was just high. What is happening again? Think about it. Dismissiveness. They're dismissing the issue. They're dismissing the problem that Chappelle is drawing attention to by just saying, oh, instead of saying, oh, he just crazy, they say, oh, he just high. Well, you know, a lot of people get high. A lot of people take drugs and get high, and they say strange things, do strange things. Not many people do this. Not many people say they're going to kill me. They're trying to kill me. Fight the establishment. So again, this is just it's dismissiveness. Yet again, people will do anything, but think, but use their minds, but probe beneath the surface. They'll do anything to avoid having to do that, including being dismissive. That's just one weapon in their arsenal. So, as they say these days, I don't know who needed to hear this, but I felt the need to say it. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think below.